Uh, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and best wishes to us all. Welcome to GIS training at the last day. Honorable for Mr. Walter Muni from the USGS. Honorable for our tutor. It's a complete tutor for today. Hunter, Jessica Reed, and Chen Batista. And of course, honorable for representative of the Center for Development and Research, Mr. Angga. Actually, honorable for my beloved participant. And first of all, let us say thanks to God who have been giving us mercy, guidance, happiness, and healthy, so we can attend and participate in this event. I hope from the first day until yesterday, you all, especially participants, had obtained a lot of knowledge and insight and your capability to prepare using QGIS application more better before you join this training. Yeah, because because this time is a special moment, and we will be conducting closing ceremony after listen. I also invite all of our participants from the first agenda until the third agenda, at least participant from the first agenda and the second agenda to join the closing ceremony. Yes. Yeah, before we are going to the lecture, maybe I invite Mr. Angga. Are you ready? From the Center for Development and Research to be moderator, and of course, to be a discussion partner in this session. Yeah, please, Mr. Angga. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mbak Donna. My voice is clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Very clear.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Good morning, Pak Walter, Jen Batista, Hunter Martin, Mbak Donna, committee, and also all of participants. Hopefully, we always in good health. Today, I am Angga from Research and Development Center. Will be moderator for the last day of this training course. As we know, yesterday we have get some substance of the material from USGS team. Now the first agenda for today is assignment help and questionnaire from the last day course agenda. And then the second is how to combining the different data set for maps visualization and analysis the final maps expectation. And the last is course close expected for grade last discussion, and also the question and answer time. And I hope you all of you, especially all of the participants, still have encouragement, and also yes, for the first about the review and also assignment and questionnaire about the last day, and also maybe for material for today. Hunter Martin and Jennifer is ready for us. Hunter and Jen, time is yours, please.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. I guess we can go through some of the submissions of the last assignment. Let me pull them up real quick. There was only a few of them because of such short time frame. So if we run out of assignment 2, we can always go back to assignment 1 as well. Can everybody see this okay?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Looks very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Okay, great. So it looks like this one is by Dimas. Do you want to kind of,
Dimas, yes, Dimas Didik Prayuko.
maybe you can
Yes.
explain how you went about creating your map?
Yes, sir. This is map population of Indonesia district versus Selo city under 70 kilometers in depth, and then the source bathymetric data from GETCO, and then the tectonic data modified from HAL 2009, and then the boundaries population of people from the Humanitarian Data Exchange, and then the catalog of earthquake from USGS.
Okay, your map looks great. I like how you've organized it. It's very well organized.
Thank you.
One minor critique I have is that, so you have the population density scaled on a red color. I would probably suggest changing your earthquakes to a different color. That way they can kind of stand out from the population map.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then one other thing, one minor critique too, is it looks like you have a depth scale down here. And if your earthquakes aren't colored by depth, you really don't need that depth scale.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
On this map, I noticed that the Timor Trough has the boundaries, the teeth on the boundary, which I believe is very correct. It's the first time we have seen, because we know that Australia is pushing, it is a thrust boundary. The location is not so clear and how fast it's moving, but I compliment you for having the correct geology. The geology is done accurately. The map is nice to look at. It's a very pleasing map to look at. So you have a very good sense for design. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have any other?
Jen, what do you think?
Man, I'm having a hard time finding anything. I really like it. I did an amazing job. I think you guys pretty much nailed everything that I would fix. On the inset map, normally I would ask students to use something like the OpenStreetMap or something like that. But in this case, the zoomed out view of the topography and the bathymetry is just fabulous. I actually really like it. So I don't have anything to say. I think it's wonderful. Good job.
Thank you.
I have a really minor point. There are large earthquakes that are like a star and they have dates like 2020, 4, 5, 18. What I want to say is I do have some difficulty reading that font. The font is a white around it and black. Hunter, do you know the name of that kind of style where you have white and black together?
Yes.
It's a buffer, is that right, Jen? Yeah, okay, yeah, I think it's called a buffer.
Buffer.
Yes,
Well, just to be honest,
actually adds a white background.
Yeah, sometimes
Sometimes
I have trouble to read it. Maybe I'm the only one who has trouble, but like the one that's closest to the north arrow, even now I'm not sure. It says 2020, I'm not sure, 15 or 13. So you should always check your fonts to make sure that it's an easy thing to do, to make a font that is difficult to read. That's my only comment. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more comments on this one, we can go to the next one. Okay, so this one is by Berlion.
Yes, hello.
Hello again.
Mhm.
Once again, you have a beautiful map. I really like the labels again. Great job there. I like the coloring between the population map and the earthquake layer. It really kind of lets the earthquake point stand out. And I also like how you've made them transparent so that you can still kind of see what's behind them. I think that's a nice touch as well. So great job.
Thank you.
Berlian, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
In your legend, you have your subduction zone, but I don't actually see it in your map. Did it, maybe you have it under one of your other layers or something where we can't see it there?
I think I think it's my mistake. I already put my subduction
Oh, okay.
actually, but this is I just realized that it doesn't appear in this one.
I mean, it's okay. It's an easy fix. Just make sure
Yeah.
that that layer is turned on and then it'll appear in your
Yeah.
print composer. Yes.
I
And you
think
know
I
that you
accidentally uncheck it, so it
yes.
it disappear.
Yes, and you know you can go back to your map and do work while you still have your printer open, right? Your
Yes.
print composer. Okay, so it's real easy. You can go back into your project, click your layer back to on, and then it'll show up in your map.
Yeah.
But other than
Uh,
that, yeah, beautiful map. Good job.
Actually, I made some problem when I made this map about the label. When I try to zoom in the map, one of the label, the Jawa Timur label, it disappeared. But when I
Oh,
zoom out, it comes back.
okay.
So
I think that might have to do with the position settings within your project. There's a couple different settings. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think like if you want it to be outside the polygon or offset or some of that sort, it depends on which one you choose. So when you do zoom in, the label will tend to move around on you. So you can just mess with those different settings and see which one works for your map.
okay. So this one actually the Jawa Timur label, I put it with text it because it disappeared when I try to show it in this kind of position.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the reasons why Hunter wanted you guys to know that, so that when you are in your map and labels aren't where they need to be, or maybe they disappeared, you can still go in and label things. So, but good job.
Thank you.
I have one other little minor critique. You say shallow seismicity. It's always a good idea to put what you mean by shallow seismicity. So like, I know you mean less than 70 kilometers, but you could just include it in brackets or something like that, or
Okay.
parentheses.
Oh, that would be good. Then people understand. I noticed she keeps the earthquake period, the January 2011 to January 2021. That's very helpful, so people know.
Okay. So
I think this map is nice to look at. It good choice of colors, and the earthquakes stand out.
Thank you. So I can edit this map and upload it again, or?
Sure, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
Hunter, did you decide on an actual due date? I think they said something about Tuesday being the Independence Day. Maybe we can make it due on Monday instead, or?
Yeah, I think I had pushed the day back one. So I think we had settled on Wednesday, the 18th.
Okay,
So yeah,
yeah,
you
as
still
long
have
as you
time to edit it.
turned in. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yep,
Of
good
course.
job.
Okay, so if there's no more comments on that one, we can move on. Okay, this one is by Marquette.
Siap. Excuse Martin and Jen.
So I have a question about your map. From my eye, most of the earthquakes look the same. I realize they are not, but somehow the size of the symbols looks very similar. Maybe it's just because most of them are magnitude 5 to 6. Maybe you can explain to me why the earthquake size look very similar.
I think I was create a size of magnitude wide small interval. So in the map look like it's similar. I think it's
Oh, okay, it's just a question. Maybe, for example, I'm not sure there are any earthquakes that are magnitude 3 to 4. Oh, maybe there are some. Yeah, very, very few. But normally you would have more small. You would have many, many earthquakes that are small and less and less and less as you go up in magnitude. So anyway, that's just a small comment. Maybe Hunter or Jen have other more interesting comments.
Yeah, and perhaps to fix that, you could increase the size range of the actual point. So like when you're sizing them, you could do like 2 to 10 or 2 to 12, or you could increase the ranges of the size, maybe to fix that.
okay, Hunter. Thank you.
Of course, of course.
The Java trench boundary looks very good. It's right in the right location. It has nice thick lines, so you can see it despite the purple seafloor. And it doesn't lie on top of the earthquakes. The earthquakes are on top of it, so it's easier to see the earthquakes, which after all is the main point of this poster. Nice job. Very nicely done. Very attractive.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Walter.
Congratulations.
I don't have any critiques. I think it looks really good. Like everyone else had pointed out, good choice of colors. Everything is very, you can tell what everything is. I do understand that, you know, Walter was talking about it's kind of hard to see the smaller ones against the bigger ones. And like Hunter suggested, you could just probably do like 1 millimeter for the small ones and 8 millimeter for the large ones, just so that they have such a bigger difference, you know. But other than that, I mean, good job. Looks terrific.
Yeah, thank you, Jen.
Yep.
Okay, if there's no more comments on these, this was all of assignment 2. Did we want to look at some more of assignment 1? Jen, maybe do you want to share 1 or 2 of assignment 1 before we move on to the lecture?
I can. Yeah, if everyone wants to look at them, let me just pull them up real quick. And also I have medals that we can give out for assignment 1 as well. So we can do that.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Would you rather do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Because with assignment 1, we saw about 8 or 10 already. We saw a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we want to give out our medals, we can do that. Let me just share my screen really quick.
Let's go for it.
So this was really difficult because we only had assignment 1 to go off of. So Hunter and I really had to come together and pick all the best maps that we could, but it was really hard. All you guys did an amazing job. We wish we could give gold medals to all of you. It was really, really hard to pick the differences between all of them because you guys are really working hard, and we can tell that you guys put a lot of effort and a lot of time into these maps. So this is what we came up with so far. So the gold medal goes to Berlian, Arif,
Wow.
and Demis. Am I saying that right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Dimas itu.
Dimas.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You guys did amazing. Excellent job. Excellent job. And then
wow,
we
that's
got,
fantastic. Wow, those were good maps. I remember those maps.
yes. And if we had assignment 2 and 3 to add in there, probably would be a lot more difficult. You guys are doing good, really good. And then we have silver medals, and we're going to hand those out to I don't want to chop the first one. Can somebody help me with that name?
Well, we just say yoga.
Yes,
Yoga?
Yoga
Okay.
Mahardika.
That's what I was going to say, but I wasn't sure. And then Marquette
Yeah.
and Risky.
Hey, Risky, say hello.
Hello, thank you.
Oh, you did a great job. Look at that. You get the
Yes.
silver medal. Wow. Oh
Silver
my
medal.
God.
Thank you.
You're the one, you worked for 7 or 8 hours to make your map. It paid off. You get the Olympic medal.
And you asked lots
Congratulations,
of
Risky.
questions. You asked lots of questions too. So good for you.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, by far, again, really hard decisions, but we've got bronze medals. So those ones go to Siti
Great.
Waudi. Am I saying that?
Right.
And Agusti.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Where
So
is Siti?
congratulations.
Hey, Siti.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Thank you,
fantastic.
sir.
Congratulations.
That
And
must have been difficult to
congratulations the whole
choose.
class. All you guys did amazing. If I could give you all medals, I would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we can go ahead and move on to the lecture section.
Yeah, because we have a long closing ceremony, so we need to move forward. Yep. Good
Okay,
idea.
I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Can everybody see this okay?
Yes.
Let me just
All right.
mention
Very
one
clear.
thing.
Very clear.
I know
Great,
that
great.
in the agenda, it mentioned we're doing combined data sets, but last minute, we decided that we had to switch. So in case you guys were confused, we did the combined data set yesterday, and now we're doing the 3D today. So I
Yeah,
just
we
wanted
just
to clarify that for you guys.
flip-flopped them.
Yeah, we just switched them. And then we're also going to be doing tsunamis with Jessica Reed today as well. So that was just a little bit of a change we had to do to your agenda. Carry on, Hunter.
No worries. Thank you, Jen. All right, so today we're going to look at creating 3D topographic models within QGIS. So this is kind of a basic but simple way to create a 3D landscape. So one question is, why would we make these models, or why they're useful? So I find that they can be a great visual aid for things that can be hard to understand or interpret. So maybe complex structures or fault systems that we want to take a look at in 3 dimensions. And also by having multiple different viewing angles, we can get a better visual understanding of the structural features present. And it's also a good tool for presenting things to people. And at a higher level, we can do more advanced things like terrain analysis and analytical methods, but that's kind of beyond the scope of QGIS. So actually, we really don't need that many data sets today. We're going to use the, we're going to start with the GEBCO layer. Oh, sorry about that. We're going to start with the GEBCO layer that we've been using. So same data set there, but we're also going to later on use a little bit higher resolution SRTM data, and I can show you how to get that. And then we're also going to use just a regular polygon layer so that we can make a inset location map. So the higher resolution SRTM data can be downloaded here. And this is at Earth Data by NASA. It looks like it's having a hard time loading here. There we go. And so you would just create an account. It's free to create an account, and you could download the data here. But I've actually already put it in LMS-BMKG so that you don't have to go through this process. All right, so now we're going to jump back to the PowerPoint real quick. And for the Inset Map Layer, it's just a vector layer, and that can be downloaded here. And simple download, you just click this little download icon, and it'll download, and that's all you have to do there. So now we're going to jump into QGIS. And the first thing we want to do is we want to download the plugin that lets us make 3D topographic models. So to do that, we're going to go to the plugins tab. We're going to go to manage and install. And you want to search QGIS 2. And it's this one right here, QGIS 23Js. And you can see that I've already installed it, but there's going to be a button here, and you're going to want to install that plugin. And once you've done that, you should see this icon right here. That's the icon we want to use. So first things first is we need a DEM layer that we can extract elevation points from. So to do that, we'll start with the GEBCO layer that we've been using. We're going to go to Layer, Add Layer, Raster Layer. And we're going to want to find our GEBCO layer. Once again, same one that we've been using. And if we add that, we can see that we now have the same GEBCO layer. So I'm going to add some color to it. Same process as Agenda 1. We're just going to make a simple color ramp. So right click, Properties, Symbology, Single Pseudoband. And we're going to create a color ramp like we've been doing. Topography, bathymetry, and we can set the extents. And we can see that we now have the colored version. So this should look somewhat familiar. I'm also going to add the coastal boundaries layer. And you can see that we now have coastal boundaries as a vector layer. Let me increase the thickness on that so you can see it a little better. Okay, so now to activate the 3D window, all you're going to do is you're going to go click this icon right here, and it's going to give you a window. And this is essentially your 3D window. And so you want to activate the layer that's your DEM layer. So in my case, it's this Gebco layer right here. And I need to go to scene settings, and I can use map canvas extent. And you can see that we get a crazy looking image. This is because of our coordinate reference system. So right now our X and Y coordinates are in latitude and longitude, but our elevation coordinates are in meters. So to fix that, we're going to click this little icon down here in the bottom right corner. And if we use this one right here, this is if you type 3857, this is the one we're going to use. This is a world coordinate reference system that's in meters in the X and Y coordinates. So this is a projected coordinate system. We're going to want to apply that. We can click OK to this. And we can see that our image is now, it's now an image. It's not distorted. And so you'll find that these 3D topographic models will work better on smaller extents. So right now what it's doing, it's showing everything that's in my map window. So if I move my map window, this moves with it. So if I zoom in, you can see that we can now see the terrain shows more relief, difference from high to low elevation. Another way we can do this is we can go to scene. We can go to scene settings, fixed extent. And then if we go to select, we can select the extent on the canvas. And we can actually physically pick the area we want. So for now, let's pick this area right here. We can apply that. And we can see that we've now manually picked the area that we want to look at. You can see that because we're using the Gebco layer, which is land elevation and bathymetry, we also have 3D structure in the oceans as well. So that's great. So one of the problems though, using this Gebco layer, it's great for taking a more global or regional look at things. But once you get down to a smaller scale, you'll see that the resolution is very poor. You can see that we can actually see the pixels on the texture. And so the way that we could improve this is we could use a higher resolution image. And that's where the SRTM data set is going to come in. So to do that, I'm going to add those layers. So add layer, and you can download them on LMS, like I mentioned. And I'm going to use Java as an example. So I've added 4 images. And so one thing to note is that these are strictly DEMs. So they will only have elevation for areas of land. They won't have bathymetry. And you can see they come in little tiles like this, individual tiles that I can turn on and off. So what we want to do, we want to merge all these individual tiles into one big tile. So the way we can do that is we can go to raster at the top here. We can go to miscellaneous and click merge. And then in this input layers right here, we're going to want to go ahead and select all of our individual tiles. We can go back. And so this right here, output data type, is essentially how do we want to calculate the data set. So for this tutorial, we're going to do integer 16, and we're going to run it. It might take a while to run. And you can see that I now have one large raster image. So I can toggle this on and off if I wanted to. And so now we can essentially treat this the same way that we've treated our Gebco layer. We're going to style it the exact same way, but this time single pseudo band. When we do our color ramp, instead of doing topography and bathymetry, we can simply do just topography. You can pick any color ramp you want. I'm going to choose this one as an example. So if I apply this, you can see that we now have a color ramp associated with this DEM. And what I like to do, I like to set the values below 0 to black. And I actually like to set the 0 value to black as well, to help enhance the main portion of the raster we're going to be looking at. And then same thing, we're going to create a hill shade for this layer. And I'll show you, let me show you why we're going to create a hill shade. If I do the raster, the 3D, if I do the 3D model on this, you can see that we now have higher resolution, but we don't have shading. It's all just one bright object. So if we can get a hillshade layer, it'll have shading, and that'll highlight the relief a little better. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to raster. We're going to do analysis, hillshade. And then we want to change, you can adjust the Z factor depending on your area. I'm going to start at 2. We're going to set our scale to the same value that we've been setting it at. And that's because even though we're in a projected coordinate system, the actual image itself is still 4326. So if I right click this layer and I go properties, the actual layer itself is still 4326. So we still need to have that that same ratio value. So 2, that same ratio value, and check all these options. So we can run that and we'll get a hillshade image. We can stylize our hillshade image, adjust the black to white value how you see fit. I like to change the blending mode to multiple, and cubic generally makes the topography appear smoother. And that's a bit too dark, so I'm gonna go back. So now, just looking from a 2D perspective, we have a much better idea of what structures look like at a local scale. So if I was to pull this Gebco image back up, I mean, it's so pixelated that we can't even see anything. So this is much better at a finer scale, like I was mentioning. And we can hit our 3D again. And we can actually, let's take we're going to select the extent, and we'll get right up on this volcano structure right here. So we can apply that, and we can see that we now see it in 3 dimensions. So I like using this tool in conjunction with general QGIS mapping. So if I was, if I was looking at an area and I wasn't quite sure where a contact was or where a certain feature was, or I just wanted to have a better general understanding, sometimes it'll help to use maps like this, where you can get in real close and you can rotate around, and you can get a better idea of what structures look like and what they look like in 3 dimensions. So real quick, we can kind of go through some of the settings here. So we're going to go to scene settings. We could play with the vertical exaggeration if we wanted to. So you can see when I turn it down, and I'll even turn it to 1 to show what it looks like in real life dimensions with no vertical exaggeration. This vertical shift here essentially shifts the plane of the topography up. So if I shifted it up 5,000 meters, you can see that it shifted upwards. And so what this can kind of be good for is that if you were interested in getting the topographic profile of an area, you could use this 3D model and take this profile if you wanted it in 3 dimensions. So we, like I said, we can use this to mess with the extent. Let's say we wanted, we could clip it by a certain layer. So if we wanted to use the extents of a certain layer, we could do that. So now it's the entirety of the merge layer. A bit large for our purposes, but you can change the material type, and that essentially changes the look of the texture to some degree. We can change the background color. So now it's a lighter color. You could pick a custom color if you wanted to. And then we can also display coordinates using our map CRS or even latitude, longitude. There's also individual settings. I'm gonna bump this vertical exaggeration up to 2. There's individual settings for the actual layers. So if we right click, we can go to properties. We can adjust resampling. So it'll make the terrain sampled more and look more varied the higher you turn it up. We can click surrounding blocks and it'll show surrounding blocks. This is an interesting one right here. We could clip the DEM with a polygon layer. So if I made a quick polygon, so if I just made a polygon real quick, I save that. I can now go, I have to exit this and go back. So if I wanted to clip it with that new layer, you could see that it's now the shape of that clipped layer I use. So if I move this up here, you can see that it's the exact shape of this layer. So that can be kind of useful in certain circumstances. And then we also have the option to change the, we could layer an image over this or drape it over this elevation if we wanted to, or we could even set the opacity and we could decrease it if you wanted to make it more opaque. There's also options to remove the sides or even change the color of the sides. We can add edges. So you can see it add edges to the side. We can add a quad frame on it. A variety of settings we could choose from. Okay, so if you just wanted to settle, you just wanted a topographic model and you were done, the way you would export this, there's two options. You go to File, and you could save it locally, or you can save it as you can export it to the web. So the way you would do that is you click Export to Web. You find a drive you want to save it on, or a place you'd like to save it. And you name it here, and then you click Save or Export. So it's exported. You could go to your place where you saved it. And if I click the link, it should take me, yep, you see now it's a internet link. So if you wanted to send this to someone, this would be an easy way to do it. And you could view it from the web. The other options that you can save it are the local options. So you can save it as an image, or you can save it as a what's essentially a 3D file format. So I think for the assignment, we asked you to save it as an image. So we'll just get, it's going to depend on your camera angle, whatever angle you want it. So we'll settle with that. And we'll go save as image. And now here we get the option to adjust the resolution how we want it. So I'm going to use the stock resolution for now. And we can save it to our desired location. So I'm going to save it as Agenda 3. And we've now saved our image. So a couple other things we can do here. We can also add point layers to a 3D map. So if I wanted to add earthquakes, I could load in an earthquake layer. Same way that we've been loading in earthquake layers. And I go back to the 3D window. The way you would add the earthquake layer is you would check the points option here. And you're going to have to right click it and go to properties. And one thing to note is that let me actually turn off the build sides option. You can see that our earthquake points are here. One thing to keep note of is that when we're thinking about the depth of the earthquakes are using kilometers, or the units they're using is kilometers, and the elevation of the GEBCO, or excuse me, this layer is in meters. So we need to multiply kilometers by 1,000 essentially. So we're going to change, let me make this a little bigger so you can see. In the Z coordinate section, we're going to create an expression, and we're going to go to fields. We're going to do depth, and we want to multiply that by 1,000. We're going to click OK. So we're essentially converting kilometers to meters. We're going to apply that. You can see that the points are way up there. So we actually need to do negative because we're below ground. And another thing to consider is that when you adjust the vertical exaggeration, you're adjusting the exaggeration of everything along the Z-axis. So that's something to consider when using earthquake points. So at this location, most of the earthquakes are fairly deep, it looks like. But if we took a broader scope, we would likely see more earthquakes. Yeah. So here we can see that there's much more earthquakes. So that's just one demonstration of how you can load in points as well as DEM layers themselves. And another thing to think about is that everything you have on your map canvas here shows up in the 3D window. So if I turn on the earthquake layer, you're going to see the points on the actual surface of the 3D window. So if you don't want them to show on the surface like this, I wouldn't want them to show. I would just turn them off here, and you would turn them on here. So if we wanted to make a final map, so we're just going to take the image that we screenshotted, and we're going to put that in the print composer. We can close out of this. We want to load in a polygon layer so that we can make a locator map to show where we are. So we're going to load in the polygon map. So there we are. I'm going to change the color on that to, let's say, a gray. And then last thing we want to do, actually, I'm going to use this layer right here. I'm going to modify this. And I'll show you why in just a second. Okay, go to scene settings, and I'm going to clip it using this layer here. Wrong button. Properties, clip DEM with polygon layer, new scratch layer. And I can turn this off. I'm going to turn these off as well. There we are. Sometimes it takes a little while to load. All right, so now I'm going to retake that image. So I'm going to go to File, Export. And I want to export as an image. Okay, I have my image now. And now the reason I did that is so now on the locator map, I have an idea of where I am. So I can turn this off. I can turn this to a simple outline. I can set it to red. I should probably increase the size a little bit. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to go to new print layout. This is where we're going to make the map. So we want to add in the image that we took. So to do that, you're going to go to the add image button right here, or add picture. Go to raster image on the right over here. Find your file. So for me, it's agenda 3. We can open that. You can just ignore this for now. I should have exited that out, but that's okay. And we can size the image how we want. We can put a frame on it. And then the other thing we wanted was a location map. So we're going to add map, and we're adding the current map we have here. We can add a grid to that since we're not quite out far enough to know where we are. Gonna add it the same way that we've been doing it. Set your latitude, longitude intervals. Here I'm going to set my CRS to 4326 so that I can have latitude, longitude. I can turn on draw coordinates, and I can turn the precision down. I can scoot this over as well, so it's more legible. Okay. I actually kind of want to zoom in on this just a little bit. And then the other things you could add is a title. And you can size this appropriately. And then the other thing you could add is just your sources and wherever you got all your data. So this is just the kind of quick general premise on how to create these 3D topographic maps quickly and efficiently within QGIS. Was there any questions so far?
Hunter, I have a question.
Sure.
So if this is a particular volcano, will the label, if you put a label, will it go into the 3D? Can you do that, or do you just have to do it in the print layout?
That's a good question. I know that if the label is on, like if you turn the label on here, it's going to appear flat on the map. That's actually a good question. I'm not sure on that.
It'd probably be easier to just put the label in the print composer, huh?
Yeah, I know we're trying to do things solely in QGIS. Another thing you could do is you could just add the label once you've exported it using like Adobe Illustrator or PowerPoint or something like that. That's an option, but I'm not 100% sure how to do it solely within QGIS.
Okay, just wondering. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Okay, Hunter, I have a question.
Sure.
what is the meaning of the bottom corner from the layout?
This button right here?
The from the layout, yeah, we can see the bottom corner of the topographic map.
This,
photographic
oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
This right
Yeah.
here. So when you're
Yes.
in, let me go back to that 3D viewer. When you're in this 3D viewer and you move the image around, it's essentially just showing you where the axes are. So like this would be the y-axis and that would be the x-axis. And as you move, they're going to change. It's a little difficult to explain, but most of the times when you're using 3D programs, it's just showing you where the y-axis and x-axis is. And they're going to move as you rotate your image. Does that kind of make sense a little bit? Anybody else have any other questions?
Hello, Hunter. I'm Rizky. Can you repeat the explanation how to make the earthquake point in the 3D maps this to the surface again? It's little fast.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we have our, let me go ahead and just set this up real quick. So it's locked to a layer right now, so I'm going to undo that. And then it'll help you kind of visualize it if we take a bigger approach here. So let me see where
Hunter,
earthquakes are.
You might pause in between steps because there's a little bit of a delay. Like as you're explaining, the video isn't at the same time as you're talking. So you might just pause. I think that might be why it's hard to follow.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So I'm going to highlight a section here. And then to add the earthquakes, we're going to click this button right here, the points button. So click that. That's our earthquake points. And we need to right click that. And we're going to go to properties. So this is all the layer properties for the earthquake layer. And the reason we have to change these is because the earthquake layer is in units of kilometers and the elevation model is in units of meters. So we have to convert kilometers to meters. So to do that, click the E here. You'll get this window here. And what we're telling it here is that we want all of our depth, the points of our depth, to be multiplied by -1000. So if we multiply kilometers times 1000, that's going to give us meters. So when I do that, it's going to place them where they should be if they were in meters. And that's what this would look like. And the points are a little far away. I think it's because they're at great depths. And also something to consider is the vertical exaggeration. So when you exaggerate it, you exaggerate the earthquakes and the DEM. So that's something to consider. So when I put it on 1, you can see that they're much closer. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I apologize, Hunter, because I don't know I'm leaving at the moment, and I have a second question. It is possible if we combine the fault line inland on the topography map?
Yeah, so we can do that. So let me figure out the best way to do it here. So I'm going to add my tectonic boundaries layer. So one thing is that, let me actually take a bigger look here so you'll be able to see better. This isn't really a good area, but I'm sorry, I'll just make a fake fault real quick. So let's say this is a fault. Sorry, one sec. So for demonstration purposes, hypothetically, the line I just made is a fault. So this is a fault. And we want to show that on our layer. So you can see that if it's checked on the QGIS window, it's going to show up on there, but it's just going to show up draped over the DEM layer, if that makes sense. So it's just going to follow the topography. You'll see what I mean if I turn up the vertical exaggeration. See how it just kind of follows the top? If you wanted to actually activate that within this window, you would just click that layer that we made. So that new scratch layer. Let me double check here. It's not showing up, but the way you would do it would be that you would add it here. So I don't know if you noticed, but when I click this right here, we can see the line. It's really hard to see, but you can kind of see a faint line. If I set the mode on that to relative to GEBCO, it's not a good example, but it should, the elevation associated with that should adjust relative to the DEM. So that's the way you would do it. You would go to right click mode relative to GEBCO layer. So there's two kind of options there you could do. Any other questions?
Hello. 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 We can move black color.
Okay, if not, that's all I had for this lecture. Did we want to move on?
That was great. Fantastic, Hunter. It's really impressive to see those features with high topography like volcanoes and drainage systems and so on. Yeah, I think we're ready to move on. That would be fine.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'll stop sharing and hand it off to Jessica.
Thanks, Hunter. Unless I did notice on the schedule that there was a break scheduled in case we're rushing ahead through it. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
go
we'll
in.
move forward. Normally we usually give 2 lectures and move right through it. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, cool. Let me just share my screen. Okay, so today I'm going to talk with you all about a new kind of data in the hopes of inspiring you to go off and find your own data and be confident that it will work in QGIS. So I work mostly with tsunami data, and this is the database that I use, but there are a few others, global data sets. And when you think about a tsunami event, there are 2 kind of types of information you're dealing with. There's the tsunami source that has a location. It's maybe an earthquake or a volcano or a landslide that occurred. And then you have the information about the wave that was generated. And we usually measure this wave at or near coastlines in the form of how high it was or how far it reached inland. So that's these 2 top data sets. They're very linked. The one on the left is the source event, and the one on the right is the run-ups. So we'll look at source events first. And it takes you to this long page where you can filter the database for whatever is most useful to you. And another tool here is the interactive map viewer that they provide. So we can look at that real quick. Oh, they've been going through the process of changing their website in the past few days. So you might run into some redirect links. This is what it'll look like, and you can kind of get an idea of where large events are. You can click on events for quick information about them, but it's a very complex map and not the most ideal for visualizing data or analyzing it. So we will download our own set. Now you can search by region or country, but in this case, we'll just do latitude and longitude measurements. So we'll just throw in a few here. And then there are other things that you can search for. You can say, oh, I only want to show tsunamis that we're very sure occurred, because this database covers hundreds, in some cases, 1,000 years. And so there are some events that we're not so sure about. But I don't care. I'll take it all. I will say I only want events with a maximum water height of 1, because I only want to find the events that were truly significant in size. And that's good enough for me for right now. We'll search. So this list is all the tsunami events that occurred in this database in this area. So you'll notice the earliest one is from 1659, and the most recent was just last year. There's a lot of information here and a lot of blanks, because these are things we don't know about. If you hit the more info column here, you can go to a event page. So say we wanted to learn more about the 1992 tsunami. We would go over here. It was a 7.8 earthquake. And now we know a lot more about the event just from this website. We have a couple of key comments from research or surveys done. We know it was a significant earthquake that occurred in Flores, causing a lot of injuries and fatalities. some numbers of damages, and also sometimes if it's an event that was a long time ago, there will be conflicting pieces of information, and you can choose which one is the most credible. And sources from journal articles or scientific papers down at the bottom there. So one thing I'm interested in is for this event, what were the observations of the wave? What were the run-up observations? It looks like there were 111 of them. That's a lot for this database. And it looks like the maximum water height was huge, 26.2 meters. And they even found some tsunami deposits and recorded them. That's not as common. So we'll click on the run-ups, and this takes us to the other database. And so we can see all the information of all these different run-ups. You'll notice that there's less information about these because a lot of them were just observations of watermarks on buildings or trees or material deposited at a certain place. And so we don't have the initial wave arrival day, for example, or initial wave arrival hour. That's information that's only available at tide gauges or certain automated ways of measuring water. So it looks like we have one of those in Palopo for this event. Here in this column, we can, or this little button here, we can select what information we want from these run-ups. Maybe we don't need the descriptions for our QGIS information, but it doesn't matter. This isn't very much data, so we'll just say, okay, that's enough. Here you can download it. It will always download as a TSV, which isn't perfect for QGIS, but we can change that later. And now we can go back to our event page and finally back to the tsunami events. It looks like we have 33 tsunamis in total in this region that were greater than 1 meter. And now we can download that as well. Great. Now let's go find them. I like to open them in Excel, open my data sets in Excel, and kind of clean up the data to make sure that it is processed correctly by QGIS. You'll notice that for this particular database, they download data and they give you your search parameters in the first column. So I delete that and then delete this blank row just to make it easier for QGIS. And then we download it, save it where we'll remember. I want to do Central Indonesia, greater than 1 meter, tsunamis. Great. And the same thing with the run-ups. The run-ups has the same problem. They give you a few extra columns, which makes it tricky. That's the great thing about working with one database. After a while, you learn its ins and outs, and it becomes easier to put into QGIS. We'll call this one Flores 1992 run-ups, because it's the run-ups just from that one tsunami event. Great. Now with that all saved, we are ready to enter QGIS. I like to put down a little base layer to understand where I am. And people add layers all different ways. One way is to add it from your browser panel, if you have one of those open. So if you know where it is in your file system, it's a kind of a shortcut. And then another way to add layers is with this data source manager button. It's the same thing as clicking on layers, add layer, but I'm accustomed to it. So we'll add our tsunami data, make sure it's CSV, make sure that it's picked up your fields well. You're all very practiced at this by now, which is good. Okay, great. Let's make them red. One nice tool is if you have your layer selected, you can use this little button in the top left and zoom exactly to the extents of that layer, which can be helpful. So if we want to scale them, just like we've been scaling earthquakes, we will use graduated. Say we want to have bigger symbols for the bigger events that had higher run-ups, maybe. So we'll scale it by maximum water height and size instead of color. And we can do pretty breaks. That shows us that this event, Anak Krakatau, was way bigger than everyone else. Natural breaks helps us understand a little better. Oh, here's the Flores event. That was pretty big, as well as some events along the Java Trench. And another consideration we could have is how many deaths did each of these tsunamis cause? That might be a little bit different from run-ups. But we'll stick with maximum water height for now. If we want to further style these dots to reflect information we know about them, we can say, okay, these tsunamis occurred from 1650 to 2020, but that information isn't equal. It may not be equally reliable, the information from 1650. So what are we most sure about? I'm most sure about the most recent data. So I'm going to change the color of the points to reflect how recent these tsunami events were. So I can go to my data assistant, and for source, I'm going to put year. And my minimum and maximum values would be the minimum year and the maximum year. But if I did that, let's do it real quick. 1650, I think, was the earliest, and 2020. Okay, I know this event right here was a long time ago, and these events were all fairly recent, but maybe I'll shift it forwards, so it'll be something like 1850. Now I can see, oh wow, some of these events are much older, and if I do want a lot of run-up information for an event, I might choose one of these. Or maybe I want to improve what we know about one of these older events. So I'm going to focus on the Flores event because it has a lot of information. And so I'm going to filter this tsunami's layer to be the year that I know the Flores tsunami happened, which is 1992. I will test it to see if maybe more than one tsunami occurred in 1992, but no, just the one, so we're good. Now, if I zoom out, we see there's only that one. Good. And now I'm going to add in the tsunami or the run-up data associated with this event. So my file name should be Flores 1992. Oh, and it looks like I didn't properly delete this information. So I'm actually going to do that right now, because otherwise, if I ever try to use this data again, it's going to give me the same problem. Yep. It looks like I didn't properly delete this information. Okay, we should be good now. Oh, I have to, if you ever do this, you do have to clear it first. Of course. Yay, it worked. Okay, perfect. So here are all the run-up observations associated with the Flores event, according to this database. So if we zoom to layer, we see that there was one over here at Balopo and a couple of further field run-up observations. Some considerations, you know, the latitude and longitude of these events or of these run-up locations may not be perfect. For example, you might have a data point in the middle of somewhere you know is land. And was there a question? Okay, I'll move on. So you may want to take the time to adjust it, or you may think, okay, it's good enough for practice. One thing that we could just graduate these dots by color, say. We could say, I want the observations with the highest water height to be darkest. So we could be satisfied with this. Another great way to style these is with a line, because a vertical line has no lateral dimension. So it will only grow, it will only become taller, which is kind of makes sense for an observation based on height. So in order to see these better, I will make the stroke a little bigger. And I'll make them a little taller as well. One thing we notice is that they are not sitting on the coastlines. And in fact, for most of them, the middle of the line is sitting on the coastline. And this has to do with the anchor point of the marker. When you get into more complicated markers, you want to be able to anchor them exactly where you want, according to the exact latitude and longitude of the data. So right now they're in the vertical and horizontal center of the marker. We'll change that to vertical bottom so that they kind of sit on the coastline, as if they were just growing up straight from the coastline, which is more intuitive. And if we want to treat ourselves to a nicer land layer at this point, we can put in, say, the Esri satellite. That really helps out some of those coastlines. They can be ambiguous with the polygon layers. And now we can see you have really tall. Oh, now we can graduate it by height, which I think is more intuitive than color. Let's change the symbol to red. And if we do something like pretty breaks, you can really see the difference. That is, to me, what I would try if I was typing in these numbers myself. So the tallest here is 25 to 26 meters, and the shortest is up to 5 meters. So now we can really see where those very, very high tsunami run-ups were in a very intuitive graphical way. And if you have other concerns, such as maybe not the maximum water height, but the type of observation, There are a bunch of different types and they are number coded. So for example, a tide gauge or an eyewitness observation, then you can kind of see what is going on there. You would have to change the, there we go. So you'll see that some of these are different measurement types. And yeah, that's the information I had to share with you about starting to plot with tsunami data. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Boy, you can really do a lot with that database and these tools. It's valuable. Anga, it's your show.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jessica, Hunter, and Pak Walter. Maybe from the first is from all participants. Any question or comments? Because I think this is one of the important section of the how to use the QGIS for our daily activity in BMKG. Maybe any question first from the participant, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Angga, I want to ask to Miss Jessica.
Okay, please.
Hello, Miss Jessica. My name is Rizky. I want to ask about the point of run up. When we face the run up in the middle of island, this must be in the coastline, right? So what must we do? Or we must delete it, or we drag it into the coastline, or what must we do? Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of a question of how do you make your data more accurate and more reliable? So you might, that might be an opportunity to go into the actual tsunami survey that occurred after the tsunami and try to figure out more about where that data point came from. Maybe it was from a very preliminary survey and they don't have information on the latitude and longitude. Maybe they didn't have a GPS at the time. And so when the data was geo-referenced, it was kind of roughly done. So it might take some extra work to figure out and edit your points. But one interesting tool is you can, there is a measuring tool. I'm not sure if you've played around with that, but if you're not sure, you can use, let's see. So, oh, here it is, right here. You can use your measuring tool and say, I don't believe that this point was a real inundation point, or that I don't believe that's really where it was taken. I can click on the beginning and the end and see, oh, okay, that segment is 121 meters. Okay, that's within the realm of credibility. I believe them that that is an accurate data point. So that's one way you can check for specific points.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Rizky. Maybe from other participants, mungkin teman-teman yang lain dipersilakan jika ada pertanyaan boleh melalui chat maupun secara langsung, mungkin bisa lebih baik.
Excuse me, sir. Can I just a question?
Yes, please, Mbak Siti dari Sumba Timur.
Yeah.
Silakan.
I just one question for Mr. Hunter about the topography map. Can we back?
Sure, go ahead.
From the map, can we put the Cartesian line in the map so we can know the earthquake depths clearly?
So like set up a scale, is that what you're saying? Like a depth scale?
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. Not that from what I understand, you can't set up a depth scale. You could add a scale using another program, but you'd have to find some kind of interval spacing, like some kind of way you would know where the spacing of units would be. But that is a good question. I'll have to do some research on that and I'll get back to you. I don't have an answer right now, but very good question.
Oh yeah, thank you. And then can we save the map?
Yeah, you can save the map. The way, like, save the entire like the composer project. You would just export it the same way you would a regular map.
Oh yeah.
Or you could, like, if you're trying to save the model, you can save it as an image or a 3D file format.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you, Siti, Hunter. Maybe before the next question or comment from other participants, I have question, Hunter and Jessica. Maybe this is a little flashback about the import data for 3D maps in the context for QGIS editing. I think I know that is the geo package or the specialized. About when does we make sense how when to use the geo package or the specialized. And then the second is from the data that Jessica showed before. Can we directly to convert to 3D maps? Not only show the contour, from the top, but we convert it to 3D maps, like the explanation from how to do it. Thank you.
Okay, so the first part of your question, what I think you're asking, is it best to use a geo package or save it as another file format? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So based on my understanding, and maybe Jessica can comment too, but I think if you're trying to save the obviously the shape of the item, but also the style settings and the if you have categorization or a graduated symbology, if you save it as a geo package, I believe it will retain all those settings. Whereas if you saved it as a shapefile, I don't believe it retains style settings and symbology settings and stuff like that. I believe that's the case.
Yeah, that's my understanding too, is that GeoPackage is a way to store all of that information in one place in a really smart way. Whereas shapefile, you may be able to get there, but you have to kind of move things around a little more.
Right.
Okay, thank you. And how to convert the directly from 2D maps and to 3D maps? How about it?
How to convert 2D maps to 3D maps? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So essentially the basic steps are, as long as you have a DEM or digital elevation model, more or less you can drape a 2D image over that that DEM, because the DEM is what you're getting the elevation points from. So if you already have those elevation points, you can drape a 2D model, a 2D image over that. If that makes sense. That's kind of what we're doing when we create the 3D topographic model.
Okay,
did I kind of answer your question there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I know.
Okay, great.
Maybe from From other participants, again, maybe any question or comments? We open the discussion right now. Please, maybe from from the West Jawa Timur, dari Stasi from West Java or East Java. Or others, please. Mas Satria Bunaga, maybe any question?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, please.
I think I don't have question right now, but yeah, I can imagine using the QGIS make a topographic map so easily. I think compared to the using GMT. So it's very interesting, I think. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, I definitely think, I would agree. I think QGIS is much easier to use than GMT. I would agree.
Okay, Hunter, can you show the last 3D maps that you make practice with?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you share screen the last 3D maps?
Oh yeah, of course.
Topographic maps.
Sure, give me 1 second. Can you see this okay?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I think first, in the first, you make this topographic maps. There is a boundary, the geographical, but it's shown by the black line. I think I see the black line, and then in the final maps, the black line is not show here. How to how you can do it? Can you repeat again, maybe?
How I would show like a line on the map,
Yes,
like a
the
fault
line.
line or something?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Let me here. What I'll do here is go to the layers here. I'm going to change the color just so you can maybe see this a little better. I'll just make it white. So now the sea is white to make it a little easier to see. So I'll use the coastline layer here. I'm going to make this black so it's easy to see. So one way is that we could just drape it on the map. So I have it turned on in my layer manager over here. And we can see that it's simply draped on the map. So that's one way to do it. That's not always the best way though, because you'll see that it's just going to go over any topography within that line. So like, for example, it's cutting straight across this small volcano here. So another way to do it would be to check the layer. Let's see. You would check the layer within the 3D window. So I'm going to do the CNT, and you can see that it's faint because this is just a flat plane. So it has no elevation associated with it. Now, if I wanted, like, if it had elevation associated with it, in this case, it doesn't, but if it had elevation associated with that line, you could right click and go to properties. And assuming that elevation was in meters as well, you could set the Z coordinate, which that's telling us the up and down distance. We could set that to relative to GEBCO. So that's going to make all the elevation relative to the DEM layer. And you could apply that. And it would set the elevation in reference to the DEM layer. It's kind of the same scenario for the earthquake layers. The points and lines, they all function the same way. So it's all setting how you want the elevation to be counted. Do you want it to be counted from some absolute zero, or do you want it to be that zero to be associated with the DEM layer? Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, great.
Okay, please, maybe from other participants again, any question or comments? Not only the question, maybe you have comments or or review before the other material, the other material of the discourse. Maybe, please.
Real quick, I can go through assignment 3, if that's okay.
Yes, it's okay. If any assignment,
okay,
please.
Okay, so this assignment is going to kind of follow what I went through in my lecture. You're basically going to create a 3D topographic model or image from the QGIS plugin. So you don't have to go and download the SRTM data from that website. I've put all the images on LMS, so you can just get them straight from LMS. So you can pick from these regions right here, Java, Bali, East Nusa Tenggara, and West Nusa Tenggara. And in addition to the lecture, there's a PowerPoint that goes through all the steps you need to create the image. So you just want, we're going to use the SRTM data. You want a hill shade, make sure you have a color ramp as well. And then you can use the world polygon layer as a inset location map. Once again, this just kind of says, choose the area you want. I didn't set specific bounds this time, but I would recommend that you try and get relatively close in terms of scale. So a relatively close overview. And then just take an image of your 3D model, put it in the print composer, and then just have a location map next to it. And then just all the general components, make sure you have your name, where you got your sources, a location map, a title, and you can actually add a north arrow within the 3D window. And right now I have this set for August 19th, but we can always move that if you guys need more time. Any questions in regards to this?
Sounds very exciting and interesting. That'll be great.
Sounds good.
Okay, yes, please. Maybe still any comments from others? Hunter or Pak Walter, any the other material after this session, or?
No, I think this is it. This is the conclusion of this third agenda, the course for the third agenda. And the participants were very good, paying attention the whole time.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Maybe if no question or no comments from other participants, we can have a break for now is 9:52. Maybe we have break until 10 o'clock to prepare the closing ceremony and waiting for the other participant from last agenda, first agenda and second agenda. Thank you, Pak Walter, Hunter, Jennifer, and Jessica. See you in 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Terima kasih, Pak.
Who will lead the closing ceremony? Will it be, will we hear from Berlin?
Okay. For the closing, Mbak Dona mungkin bisa bantu jelasin.
Yes, yes, Walter.
There we are. Hi, Madonna. We're waiting for you. Okay, good.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah, yeah. Maybe we will be conducting the closing ceremony at 10 o'clock, and I had to share the closing ceremony schedule, and maybe the first agenda and in this closing, I think there's an impression and a message from the representative of the participant in this training. Berlian, and why I take a Berlian, because Berlian is one of yeah, actually she has the gold medal. So
Good choice.
Yeah, Walter, maybe yeah, after this training, I hope we have the standard layout for a map, and yeah, actually I use this standard map for to support our chart in BMKG, but I don't know. Yeah, I think finally from this training we have the recommendation, and this recommendation, and I will over to the geophysical deputy, because to create a map, I don't know, maybe create a map for in the certain area is the responsibility for geophysical deputy. And maybe do you have a suggestion and maybe advice from us about the recommendation for this one?
Well, the choice of a template, the choice of a standard map is really kind of institutional. Your agency, BMKG, has to decide itself the basic layout. And I've seen many posters and maps in the buildings around. So I would suggest you can make a preliminary recommendation, and Jennifer and Hunter and Jessica and I can give advice. But I don't think we want to design it for you, because it should be according to your standard.
Okay, thank you.
So if you have the initial idea, that would be good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Walter. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a short, we can wait until 10 o'clock for the,
Yes.
about 4 minutes,
Yes,
for the
yes.
closing. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, Hunter and Walter and all. Maybe we must wait our leader to come for this meeting because he will be he will give the closing remark and close official for this training. So I'm so sorry.
Okay, we understand. We'll stand by.
Yeah, thank you very much for your understanding. Yeah, Walter, do you have do you have a plan to come to the next training for the next time? Yeah, of course, in this year.
Yes, the next training is very different. We will concentrate on the analysis of the data quality, the noise level and signal level of the data, and on the issue of earthquake magnitude.
Oh, it's great. It's a great topic, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this topic is very important for us.
Our schedule is more open, but you need to determine, you know, you have many training programs, so by email we will agree on the time.
Okay.
When to do this job.
Selamat siang, Pak Maman. Yeah, good afternoon, Pak Maman.
Okay.
Ya, Walter and all dan Pak Maman, bisa kita mulai, Pak?
Iya, Mbak.
Ya.
Oke. Halo.
Oke. Oke.
Halo.
Sorry.
Kita mulai ya. Honorable Director of the Center for Education and Training, Bapak Maman Sudarisman, Honorable Researcher Geophysics at Earthquake Science Center, U.S. Geological Survey, Mr. Walter Mooney, and Honorable BMKG and USGS team, facilitator and participant. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and evening in USGS and US. Welcome to the closing ceremony for GIS training. And I think this training is series of the advanced earthquake and tsunami hazard training course. First of all, let us say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who have been giving us mercy, guidance, happiness, and healthy so we can attend and participate in this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the first agenda, impression and message from the training participant will be represented by Belian Utamintias from Geophysics Station, Banjarnegara. Mbak Belian, are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, time is yours, Mbak Belian. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Bu Madonna. Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Through this speech, I would like to say a few words about my impression about this training. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Berlian Utaminingtyas. I'm from Geophysics Station Banjarnegara. It is located in middle part of Java, Jawa Tengah. And I want to say that I'm very grateful being part of this training, and I'm very happy meeting all of the participants. I learned a lot and I gained a new skill, especially about QGIS, and all the lecturer, Mr. Hunter Martin, Miss Jennifer Batista, Miss Jessica Red, and Mr. Walter Mooney are excellent. It is very easy for us to understand the lesson. Thank you very much for all of you. And I hope that we can meet again in the future. And I also want to say thanks to Pusdiklat BMKG and Research and Development Center of BMKG for managing this training. I hope that there is another training, learning more about QGIS or another topic, so we can develop and gain a new skill. I think that's all for me. Once again, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Balian Utamintias, for the great information and message. So the second agenda, impression and message from our tutor. Yes, this is very special. And the first speech from the Hunter Martin, and then followed by Jennifer Batista and Jessica Reed. To the Honorable Hunter Martin, Jennifer Batista, and Jessica Reed, time is yours. Maybe Hunter, please.
Sure, thank you. Here, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay. So I just want to share some final thoughts I had of my own on the course so far. So I just wanted to take a moment to compliment all of the participants for their great involvement throughout the course and all their hard work on all the assignments they did. This is just to kind of demonstrate some of the progress that I've seen throughout the course. The students' first assignment is shown on the left, and their assignment 2 is shown on the right. And this is just a demonstration of how drastically I saw improvements throughout the course. And I just wanted to show this to illustrate that many of you have improved in the same way. So in just a short amount of time, you all have improved in a great way, and I just wanted to highlight it here. And so one of the other things I wanted to one of the other things I wanted to highlight here was the simple concept of practicing. So the more you practice, and it sounds simple in nature, but the more you practice something, the better you're going to become at that skill. And so far in this course, I've seen that you all have put a great amount of hard work and dedication into creating interesting and thoughtful maps. And the more you practice and utilize these skills, the better you're going to get at them. And so what we've been covering is just the tip of the iceberg. It's the very beginning of GIS and the applications you can do with it. And I suggest that you all try to utilize these skills and just continue to use them from time to time. I hope that we've covered the basics a little bit. So now you have a little bit of understanding, and now potentially in the future, you can go out and do more advanced techniques that may better suit your applications in your job or your research. And so I hope the things that you learn can be applied to your future regardless. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you all to everyone at the BMKG for giving me the opportunity to instruct the course. And based on my understanding, this is the first time we've done a live technical demonstration like this online. And overall, in my opinion, it seemed to be a success. And I appreciate the opportunity that all of you have given me to learn from the experience. And hopefully in the future, we can give an even better training based on the experience we gained here and now. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter. Oh my, so sad. And the next, maybe Jen Basisa, do you want to share something? Maybe do you give an impression and message?
Share my screen. Here. Can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
So, first of all, I just want to say that it was an honor to teach this course. And I want you all to know that, you know, as a recent graduate, I really didn't know a whole lot about QGIS. I mean, I've been learning it and I still have a lot to learn. And this was also my first time teaching it. So I actually learned a lot in this course as well. I mean, it was a learning experience for me too. And it's made me want to learn more. So I really appreciate doing this and the opportunity to help all the students, all the participants here. So a little bit of what we learned was taking an image, a raster data, something that's so plain, and turning it into something that's a little bit more informational. We can see, you know, topography, bathymetry, we can see structurals, we can see volcanoes, earthquakes. We get a lot of that information. And then we can put it into nice maps. And I just think that that's amazing how everyone in this course learned so much within the first week. I mean, we're making maps like this after the first day. And I just really want to applaud you guys. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, I mean, teachers are learning too, not just the students. So one thing that I did learn was which screen not to share in my Zoom. I know a lot of you guys weren't there for my first session, so it was really hard for me to get it figured out and, you know, sharing the right screens and everything. So it was something that I got to learn too. And I also got to learn, well, has this ever happened to anyone? You don't have your projection right, and so your grid, your coordinates aren't right. And yeah, I got to learn that in my teaching session, which was the best place. And also another thing I experienced in the middle of a teaching session was this lovely window. Anybody gets this, no worries, it happens to everyone, including me in the middle of a in the middle of a teaching session. So, you know, you just gotta keep going. And then also sometimes you push the wrong button and then you might get what happened to Java C for everyone to see. A few things that I did learn, though, some very valuable things also, is the students were teaching me things. They were asking really great questions like, can we move a label? And I didn't know, and now I know. So I really appreciate all the students, you know, being curious and asking questions. And it's great, you know. And also one of the other questions was getting the earthquakes to have bigger magnitude to sit on top of the smaller ones. You know, we got to learn that together. So that was pretty awesome. But most importantly, the students made teaching this course very enjoyable. I mean, they were extremely kind, respectful, and I knew they were all very eager to learn. The assignments were, I mean, phenomenal, above my expectations. They were all really great, creative. And, you know, my goal was for them to receive something valuable from this course. And I hope they did. And I know that they want to learn more, and I think that's great. So thank you for being amazing students, and it was an honor to teach this course, and I hope to do it again soon.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Maybe I think the last speaker from the Jessica Wick.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jen and Hunter, the main trainers, said. And I want to say that it's not so simple. You have this horrible blank page that you open up when you start your application of QGIS, and you take an enormous, huge step adding data and starting to understand how to put it there. And that's really the hardest step in QGIS. You've already done it and everyone did so well. And so you are now well on your way to becoming masters at this application and other related softwares, I'm sure. So you can take a deep breath because the hardest step, the introduction, is over, and you did so well. So thank you for letting me participate in that.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica, for your great information and mention for us. Maybe we are going to the next agenda. I think we have, the special remark from USGS will be delivered by Walter Mooney. To the Honorable Walter Mooney, time is yours.
Mute. Okay. Am I muted or unmuted?
We can hear you. Oh, now we can't hear you. There you go.
Okay.
There.
Well, when you share the screen, things move up to the top. It's like QGIS. You always have a surprise when you try to do something. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to give some closing remarks on this very valuable training course. And when we began to design the course, we thought that first we would just do all of Indonesia in one session. But I think it was very wise to have 3 agendas for Sumatra, Sulawesi and other islands, and then Java and other islands. And that kept us very focused and also gave us a chance to have a smaller number of participants. Each agenda had about 25 of you. That worked out very well. You did a great job. And unfortunately, we couldn't be training you in person, but we discovered that training online works very well when the trainers, like the 3 people we had, are so well organized and the students are so good. We are very grateful to the BMKG experts who gave us all their support. You can see them listed here. Pa Maman, Miss Nellie Florida, Dr. Supri, Madana, Mr. Anga, and all the other moderators, which I haven't listed. And I think behind the scene, there are many other BMKG people who have made it possible. Thanks to Jennifer, Hunter, assisted by Jessica, for their excellent and very well organized lectures. So I think it's clear that the goals have been achieved. Improving your skill, increasing your knowledge, certainly increasing your self-confidence, and very importantly, you are now independent. You can do it yourself. You can move forward and make volcano maps, seismicity maps, and all the other maps. So for USGS, working with Indonesia is very rewarding, and we are very pleased to have worked with you. Please continue to practice your skills so that you do not forget what you have learned. It takes repetition. QGIS is a matter of repetition. And welcome to visit USGS as soon as we are able to travel again. We look forward to continuing the training, presently online, but in the future in Indonesia and in the United States. So thank you so much. And that is my brief impression. Thank you, Madana.
Yeah. Thank you, Walter, for your remarkable motivation. Thank you very much. For the next agenda, closing remarks by a director of the Center for Education and Training, and of course, officially closed Geographic Information System GIS training. To the Honorable Bapak Maman Sudarisman, time is yours.
Thank you, Madonna. Honorable Research Geophysics at Earthquake Science Center US, Mr. Walter Demoni. Honorable Director of the Center for Research and Development, Ibu Nelly Florida Riyama. Honorable Director of the Center for Earthquake and Tsunami, Mr. Bambang Setio Prayitno. Honorable BMKG College, tutors and facilitators, distinguished guest participants. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May prosperity be with you all. I believe that all of you have well done through Geographic Information System GIS training. It is my great pleasure that you had a fruitful discussion. Two talks, I think 3 days for one agenda is not enough. In this year's training, main theme is how to create map by using Qgis software. I expected which every participant could enhance the knowledge and tool needed to utilize the Qgis software to visualize geospatial data in a simple, creative, and efficient manner. They should finish with a solid understanding of basic GIS functions. They will be able to apply the newly gained knowledge to individual projects assigned to them. I would like to pay my deep respect to all the participants for your positive participation in this training. I hope that what you have learned through the training would help and support you a lot in your duties and lead to the stability of the region in the future. Distinguished participants, it is nice to hear the training team leader has spoken warmly about your desire to learn. The active learning that you have modeled, as well as your effort in seizing the opportunity for to learn new strategies. I thank you for your enthusiastic participation in the activities. I am very happy to know the participant had learned a lot from every single lecture. I hope that the results of the training will boost your confidence and inspire you to extend the knowledge into further study, research, or furthermore, the related implementation in operational work. I do believe that understanding new knowledge won't be a power unless we use it to improve the quality of our work in public service. Distinguished tutor, ladies and gentlemen, finally, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all those who have contributed to making this event a success as expected. I would like to underline that this training would not have been possible without the interest and support of Mr. Walter Moni. I am also grateful to Hunter Martin and Jennifer Reid from USGS for their great contribution in supporting the very kindness share their capabilities as well as experience in this training. And I would like to underline that the training would not have been possible without the interest and support of facilitator from the Center for Education and Training Center, as well as experts from the Center for Development and Research and Deputy for Geophysics BMKG Indonesia. The last but not least, at this awesome moment, I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of Geographic Information System training. I wish you all the success in the future. Thank you for your kind attention. Stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bapak Maman Sudarisman, for the speech and for officially closing Geographic Information System GIS training. And ladies and gentlemen, on the last agenda, we will hold a photo session to all audiences. To all audiences, I invite you to kindly turn on your camera, video. The TSO will take some screenshot. Please, Mr. Rizky Pianska, to lead for the session. Are you ready? Okay, I will be taking over for the session. And we have the slide. So on the count of 3, give your best smile. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and the next. 1, 2, 3. One more time. I think so. So, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's done. Okay. Yeah. We finished, and thank you for your attention. And ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the closing ceremony of your traffic information system GIS training. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to say thanks to all audiences for your kindly attendance today. Hopefully, we can meet again in another opportunity. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you for all.
Makasih teman-teman
Thank you.
semua. Thank you, Pak
See you
Maman.
next time.
See you next time on the
Yeah, next time.
training.
Yeah.
Mbak Madonna.
Terima kasih. Thank you all. Yeah,
Bye,
yes. Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you,
Hi,
Jen.
everyone.
Thank you, Harden. Oh, Rifki.
Bye, Rizky. See you.
Okay.
Rizky is not here. Terima kasih Pak Supri, Bu Nelly, Pak Maman.
Terima kasih
semua.
ya. Sukses
Ya.
semuanya ya.
Iya.
Sukses.
Ya. Mungkin bagi Bapak Ibu silakan apabila ingin melanjutkan ke agenda berikutnya bisa meninggalkan Zoom meeting ini. Terima kasih.
Ini cara live-nya gimana?
Enggak ya. Kayaknya Satria tuh the next participant juga deh nih. Orangnya sama-sama aja.
Ya, buat yang lainnya nanti. Buat apa? Untuk training yang akan datang boleh monggo.
Iya.
Siap.
Iya,
Bapak.
Teman-teman
main
teman-teman
lagi, Pak.
semua ya.
Iya Bapak. Iya, sama-sama Bapak. Ya, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Ibu. Mohon izin teman-teman.
Iya, silakan. Mungkin Pak Rifki masih ada nggak orangnya? Nggak ada ya. Ya mungkin bisa meninggalkan ruangan, silakan. Ya. Pak Rifki.